Greetings, everyone, and I guess I should also say Assalamu alaikum. This is Rajee Narinesingh, trans activist, author, and actress. You can see me on the reality show Botched on the E Network season 2 and 3, and also on the reality show I Am Jazz on the TLC network. So I'm wearing what is called the hijab. It is the Muslim head garb for Islamic women around the world. And I'm doing it in honor of the rights of all Islamic women around the world, and for that matter, the rights of all women around the world. So recently I was watching a very popular news show here in America called 60 Minutes, and they had the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia on, Mohammed bin Salman. Uh, he is actually in line to be the next king of Saudi Arabia. Young man, like in his early 30s, and I have to say he came off quite progressive. Oh my goodness. Just very progressive compared to a lot of the other leaders of Saudi Arabia. For instance, women aren't allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. And in June of 2018, so in a few months, that law will no longer be. Women will be able to drive. And also, there was a law that stated all women must cover their head while out in public. And that law has now been abolished, and it's really, up to the woman whether she wants to cover her head or not. And I mean, there's so many layers to that because I think a lot of it also depends on her husband or her family and the pressures that she might get from the men in her family. So there's different levels to covering the head. I mean, you can basically, many women just cover their head, but their face shows. There's women that actually they wear the burqa, where everything is covered. You don't even see the eyes, and then uh, there's also what I'm doing, where you just see the eyes, but you don't really see the face, or the head or anything. So it's basically depends on the woman and her family, and there's a lot of things that go into that. So um, basically, I don't know if I lived over there, if I could have done the face thing. I probably, would have just covered the head. I don't think I could have done the face thing. But anyway, watching 60 Minutes and, seeing how women lived in Saudi Arabia, and the changes that are taking place, it made me think about me as a trans woman in the world, and basically how I feel about, that sort of thing, and what goes on with women around the world. And, as a transgendered woman here in America, I certainly have experienced my share of discrimination and injustice, and started so young. I mean, from the age of 4 years old, I can remember them calling me names like sissy and faggot, and not knowing what the names meant, but knowing that I didn't like the way it the names made me feel, the energy behind the name calling. And then, of course, it just got progressively worse as time went on. With the bullying, it just became relentless. And not only was it name calling, but it then got physical. So, I think about where I am today as a trans woman, and basically a survivor. I've been through a lot, and I think, wow, many of those people tried to beat it out of me. You know what I mean? Beat it out of me. And whether it was through, physically attacking me, or being cruel to me, but didn't succeed. Because bottom line is, I don't know if there was really ever a choice for me. And for that matter, um, if really I think about the time in my life where I so-called tried to conform, and it didn't. I mean, it just didn't work. People saw right through me. So, like I said, I don't know if they could have ever really beaten it out of me or been, so cruel that it would have made me not be who I am, live my authentic truth. But I couldn't help to think about the fact that, wow, if I had been born in a place like Saudi Arabia, how would have that have all played out for me? Like, how would it have looked for me? And would I have had the fight in me to live my authentic truth? The fight that I always talk about that I had here to do it. And I think the answer would have been yes. I mean, I'll never really know, but I think it would be yes. I think it would be yes. There's people that probably here in America and around the world that would think, wow, like you actually relinquished your entitlement as a male in the world. And I guess on some level I did because there is there's certain entitlements that come with being male in this world. But again, I don't know if I really had a choice. Like if I really had a choice to decide whether I would have kept my quote unquote entitlement and been male in this world, uh, or done what I've done and live as a trans woman in the world. So that is the question. I mean, there's a power that comes with womanhood also. And I think because it was so innate in me and natural of me that when I transitioned, I embraced the power of womanhood. There's two different, I would say, lanes, for lack of a better phrase. And, men certainly have their power, but women do too. And you girls know what I'm talking about. So I've certainly embraced that, the power of womanhood. And, but I just don't know. Like, if I was born in Saudi Arabia, would I have had the fight to live my authentic truth? Or would I have, basically settled and lived as a man, and really a poor excuse for a man because I mean, I just don't know how that would have really looked and played out for me. I just couldn't help to think about that when I saw the women in Saudi Arabia and how they've been living. And, you know, the changes that are happening, which I'm so happy about. Women are getting more freedoms there. Now, it's all how you look at things, and it's all relative because the Crown Prince Salman had his cousin. It's a woman, and I can't remember her name, but he appointed her over something in the government, and they were interviewing her, and she was the one that actually had the law changed that women could now go to sporting events because women weren't even allowed to go to sporting events. That wouldn't have phased me because I'm not really into sports. I mean, if it's a Super Bowl, yes, I'll watch it. But I'm not one to really want to go to the ball game or football game or basketball game. But no, that has now changed for women. So women over there are getting more rights and I would say more flexibility. She did say, though, which I thought was interesting, that, the intentions of many of the laws and the way things have been were really to respect the space of a woman. Like it was done with good intentions, but like anything, things get distorted, and unfortunately, misogyny does come into to play, and then a thing that was meant to be a good thing, society wise for a woman could possibly turn into great acts of injustice, So I think that for a lot of women, that's what has happened. And so Anyway, I say all of that to say that, yeah, I think I've answered the question. I probably would have had to do what I had to do to live my authentic truth. And wow, I think about the people in the world that basically lost their lives living their authentic truth. And knowing the Rajee Narinesingh that I am, it probably would have come to that if it had to. So, anyway, in closing, I just want to say that maybe the world would be a little better if more women were in power. Think about that, you men out there. We definitely bring something to the table, and both energies are needed in this world. I mean, men certainly have their place in the world, and women do too. And without one, there wouldn't be a world. So, and also, there's a place for us trans sisters because we have the gift of duality. And it's all how you look at something. I can certainly, when I'm having conversations with my men friends, relate to the things that they say in many ways because I have that slightly male perspective. But then I also, uh, you know, connect to the womanly feminine side of me, and that is definitely the prevailing side. But there's a beauty to the duality, and we certainly bring a gift to the world. So anyway, on that note, I want to wish everyone love, peace, and blessings, and to all my sisters out there around the world, woman power. Even the trans women. Love, peace, and blessings.